Why so important to you? Because you could have accepted that was it, moved on with the rest of your life, but here you are fighting.
Yes, indeed, because for Cliff and I, our work is not done.
Right.
Even though we've come out the other side, we have become magnets for people who are still in the system. I didn't foresee this, but through the internet, through the post, we get communications for people who are going through it now, and they don't have access to media like we do. It has turned out that there's been a stall on this law reform. It was 4 years ago when I testified before the Home Affairs Select Committee on bail reform that they issued a report approving anonymity without charge. And the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police supported anonymity before charge. And a public opinion poll supported it. But as you know, Brexit has taken all of the parliamentary oxygen out of the debate chambers. And so if we get 100,000 signatures on this petition, which is easily found if you Google petition, anonymity, sexual offenses, and if we get 100,000, Parliament has to debate it.
Right, OK.
So we're giving it a little kick.
It's the cost for you, devastating, personally. You know, I don't just mean for the fact that you didn't get, the BBC dropped you, so you're obviously not getting paid, but personally, it's had a terrible toll on both you and Sir Cliff, but you've really found it very, very tough. Of course.
Well, yes, we both did. You are seeing the world in which we live as if through gauze.
Yeah.
Your friends are waving at you, telling you that they love you, but you're in a different space because the entire weight of the state is trying to prove that you're a perv. What a completely surrealistic situation. And of course, Cliff and I were extreme cases because both of us had never known our accusers. So we were in a kind of parallel universe.
Yeah, so there was nothing that you could do.
There's nothing you could do. There was no forensic evidence to discuss. So you just have to sit around. At first you think, well, this is going to be a 3-month wonder because I don't know this person. But then it turns out because they don't have anything, they keep dragging it out, hoping to find something. And you're thinking, when are they going to realize that the reason they haven't found anything is because there's nothing to find? Now, but what makes it worse is that it's publicized.
Yes.
And that's what we're talking about, where you want anonymity before charge. The organization is called FAIR. It's falsely accused individuals for reform. And in my case, all of my relatives around the world were contacted by British media while I was still being interviewed in the police station.
Jeez.
Talk about revelation of identity. So you see, it's not just we who suffered, but all of our family members and all of our friends. Can you believe it? A reporter tried to get into my brother's apartment in New York. A reporter contacted my 2 female cousins in the state of Connecticut, living in different cities with different surnames. My in-laws in a Norfolk village were visited. My brother in Switzerland was contacted. And this is all while I'm still in the police station.
But the anger you must have felt, though, the sheer anger and sense of injustice, because, of course, the thing about this is, the thing what you're trying to do is, yes, is when you're charged, you should be named, but up until then, no, there should be anonymity. Now, people have said that's not fair, you know, it's not right, and they've said that by putting your name out there, that means that there are other victims could come forward. What do you think about that? Because that's an argument that's used a lot, isn't it?
It is used a lot. But first of all, this is not a competition to see who's been wronged the most. There are 2 crises. We have to carry both thoughts in our head. There is a sex abuse crisis. There is a false accusation crisis. It turned out that when people were named before they were charged, more people did come forward, but I'm afraid to say the overwhelming majority of them were false. And that's because motivations that we hadn't even thought about came into play. Yes, some people said they're doing it for the money, but frankly, a lot of them were what I call distressed individuals.
Right, okay.
And I said to Cliff, we must not criticize our false accusers because we don't even know them.
Has it dented your faith in the British legal system? I mean, you love this country so much, you love it so much that you settled here. You know, you're married here, it's your home, but it surely must have dented it a bit.
Yes. It has dented my confidence in both the nature of the officers of the police, not the rank and file, we found that 90 to 94% of police officers are good, hard-working, honest people. But the problem is in the leadership, and also the fact that they didn't consider the reality of mental illness and the nature of the relationship between the celebrity and the viewer.
Right.
And now we can reveal that my appearance here with you today completes the circle. I was only accused because I appeared with you and on the Panorama program defending wronged women against he who can still not be named. And a viewer turned to his fiancée and said, "How dare he say that about Jimmy Savile when he did that to me?" This was a complete surprise to her. She'd never heard him say this before. And when I heard about it, it was a complete surprise to me because I never even knew him. But it turned out he was a serial unsuccessful accuser, a serial drug abuser. And it turns out that in many of these cases which got so much attention, that's the type of accuser, a distressed individual. So you don't want to make their lives worse. They're already uncomfortable. But you do criticize the police for not having been aware that there was this type of individual who was likely to respond when there was an invitation to accuse celebrities.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, we're not in any way trying to enemy, because, you know, sexual assault is a dreadful thing, and people who have had that done to them, of course, should come forward. And of course, but this is a completely separate issue.
Yes.
Completely separate, and you can't really
and
manage.
everybody who has been wronged, no matter how, knows what it's like to be wronged.
Indeed.
And empathizes with the other person.
But you don't know what it's like.
Yes. So it turns out that many of the arguments about naming people before they're charged actually aren't realistic. The case of Stuart Hall is often mentioned, but in fact, he was charged the same day he was arrested. So people came forward, but in fact, it was after he'd been charged.
Paul, today is going to be tough for you, I would think, but it's something I know that you have to do. Keep in touch with us and let us know how it gets on. And it's always good to see you.
How wonderful, since I am now the father of breakfast television and you are the mother.
We're the longest serving, aren't we? The longest serving. There we are, parents together. Right. I don't know what we produced, but
well,
never mind.
Dr. Hilary.
We have indeed.